Okay, on this video we are going to show you how to replace the outer door handle on full doors on a YJ. So this is the driver's side we already took off, and you can see, if it'll focus properly, you can see, it ain't gonna focus, well, you can't really see, there's actually a notch worn in this from the paw pushing on this. So this handle wasn't really doing much. This is actually the return spring for the paddle. It's broken off. So that was the driver's door. The passenger door is not as bad, but the outside of it's rusted and pitted. So there's no point in keeping it. Door handles are cheap enough. One thing you need to make sure of when you do these door handles is these clips. So the door handles have clips right here. This clip slides on here, and what this clip does is it pushes down into a notch on this bar. I don't know if you can see, there's a bar down in there. See, there's the spring clip. It's pushing down into notches on that bar. It stops that bar from backing out. They're basically wedges, and that's what holds us in. Once I have this out, I'll show you what the wedges look like. Now, these doors have obviously never been messed with, so the wedges are going top to bottom on these. I'm not sure how you would do that without removing the glass. So the factory probably installed these before the glass. When we install them, we're going to install them bottom to top, because I'm not taking the door glass out in order to put the wedges back in. So first thing we're going to need to do is up here on this rod, there's a pin up there. I don't know if I can zoom in and see it and get it to actually focus here. No, unfortunately it's just too many things for it to, there we go. So see that pin there? That pin's got to get knocked out. So we're going to get that pin out, and then the rod will come off. Underneath of the rod there's going to be a nylon washer. You do not want to lose that, because you're going to need it for the new one. And then once that's off, we're going to take a hook tool, and we're going to pull up on this spring clip and drive the wedge back out. And there's two of them. There's one on each side. You can sort of see that one. It's that silver thing way in there. So we're going to take some stuff apart and be right back. Okay, so we knocked out one of the pins already. You can see me lifting the clip there. And then we're going to take this drift. I don't know if the camera's going to stay, because I've not got enough hands here to do what I need to do. Go ahead and hit it. And what that did, drove, you can let the tension off of this now. You don't want to bend this in case you need to reuse it. You just want to lift it just enough to get off of these teeth right here, because that's what they're engaging, these teeth, to keep this metal wedge in there, because that's all that holds the handle into the door. It's that metal wedge. So you can see the wedge right here. Now it fell out. And we're going to take a magnet here. We're going to reach up inside the door. Grab it and drag it back out. So there is your other wedge. Here's your pair of wedges. Like I said, we've already removed the door rod. There's the clip for the door rod. Here's the washer that was between the door handle and the door rod. Okay, so now all you have to do is basically grab this handle and yank it out. It's that simple. So these are what the clips look like installed on the end of the handle. And what happens is you put the handle in with the gasket. Nope, I lost the whole video. Okay, so we changed out these clips. These are the clips that came on these handles, these new handles, but they were not bent enough on the end where they were going to engage properly. I could probably have tried to bend these more, but I don't trust bending this cheap metal and it not snapping off once I install this. So basically, I'm going to put the door handle back in the door after wiping the outside of the door. We wipe the outside of the door with a wet cloth to get all the scunge and nastiness from 30 years off of the outside of the door, so you have a clean gasket mating surface. And we're going to put it back in the door, and we're going to drive these wedges through like this. And right now this is not engaging the wedge because you don't have the thickness of the metal here. But once you have the thickness of the metal there, as you push this through, it'll lock in, and then it'll come up and over and lock in the next one and the next one. I don't know if you're supposed to go all the way or just till they're snug, tight. On the other door, I think we ran them all the way in as far as they would go. It didn't look like they were in all the way on this door, so we may have put them in too tight on the other door. I guess if you put them in too tight, it may just squeeze out the make the gasket squeeze out of the door. So we'll play it by ear here. You're gonna need probably a second person to help. You're gonna need some type of long drift and a hammer to put these back in. So I mean, you literally, you just take the handle and you stick it up in the door here. And now it's in the door. And it'll sit there. At least it seems like it'll sit there. The gasket feels fine on the outside. Then you're going to take these wedges. And these wedges have to go, you got to put them in there. But you got to make sure that they're going inside this triangle. Because if they're out here or they're on a weird angle or something, you're trying to drive them in, they're not going to do their job. So they got to go through this triangle as you drive them in. So there's that one sort of started. And we'll put the other one in over here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Maybe if I come over here. It's just a bad spot to have to try and film. There's not a lot of room to work. By the time I put my hand in there, then the camera won't fit in there. But you get the idea. Now this one here, the way the door is made, I guess, this one here, you're gonna have to drive it in with to get past the lip in the door. It'll drop down and then go in easier after that. But pay attention once you start going in to that clip. You want to keep an eye on that clip and those teeth. So I don't think we're going to be able to do this. You might as well come over here and hit the drift. See if we can get it to go in. Go ahead and tap it. Hold on there, I can't see. Yeah, I can't get the damn focus. We get more light down in there, maybe we can focus. There we go. See how it's engaging? The clip is engaging in the teeth. So you've got, as you push it in, this clip engages into those teeth, and that'll stop this wedge from falling back out. Okay, it looks like we've got it halfway or most of the way. There might be 2 more clicks in there. So I think we're going to go to the other side and get the other side driven in and go from there, because I'm not so sure we really needed to drive this all the way to the last click on the other door. So let's see if I can get, there we go, that's a perfect shot. Go on the other side of me. So see how there's a triangle there? So we need to go ahead and tap it. And tap it. Good. This isn't going to work with me holding this. Because what we ended up having to do on the other doors, we ended up having to, for this one, I believe we ended up having to it might be better now. It might go in now. In the door, I think we ended up having to push against it like this, while the other person drove the wedge in, try and keep the wedge standing up. But it looks like it may go. So let's try it again. Where is it? There it is. Go ahead and give it a hit. Good. 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 Hit it. Alright, hold it there. You can see it's moving along and going into clicking its way across those teeth. So we may be good where it is. I don't feel the gasket bulging or anything, so it may actually be good where we have it. Or we'll get it to click in the next one, and that'll be it, because it looks like it's almost into the next one. Go ahead and tap it. Good. Stop. And I think we're good there. We're into the next one. So that's where we're going to leave it. Everything feels good on the outside. So now it's just simple now. You're just going to take and let me unzoom. So you're just going to take this, drop it back on here. Then you're going to take your rod, set your rod back on there. And I can tell you I'm going to have to adjust this. In a previous video we had adjusted the slack out for the other ones being so crappy. The outside handles being so crappy. So I'm going to have to pop this, which will give me more movement up here, and everything fell out. So we're going to put the washer back on. We drop the washer into the door. So the washer's back on. Now we're going to put the rod back on, and now we just need to take and get the pin back in there. And the pin is a little interesting to get back in there. I ended up, gotta try and like sort of fish it back in. So we're back on this. You gotta grab the clip. Some light up in there where you can actually see. And you need to, from top to bottom, fish that clip back into the hole it's supposed to be in the rod, in the handle here. And once you get it in there, then you can always fold it over sideways like that and then pull it the rest of the way. You want it to go in top to bottom because you don't want it to have any chance of falling out. Now, granted, it's a spring clip, it's supposed to hold itself, but that doesn't mean that there's not some way of it just vibrating or whatever and falling the hell out. So now we need to push the handle, push this rod up to get the slack out of the rod. Okay, now we're going to snap the rod back in. So we took the slack out of here by pushing up on the rod. I'm going to snap the rod straight back in. Make sure it's latched fully in place. Looks like it is. And so that should be adjusted. So all that's left now is put the cover back on here, put it back on the Jeep, make sure it functions, and then put the door panel back on. So all in all, other than my crappy video work here, this is not difficult to do. It's maybe 5-10 minutes tops once you have the door panel off. You definitely want to take the door off, put a blanket on some sawhorses, and lay the door down to do this. You don't want to try doing this on the vehicle with the door straight up and down. Those wedges are probably near impossible to get in if this door is mounted on the vehicle. So hopefully this helps. Like and subscribe.